So welcome gentlemen to the panel discussion session. How many of you agree that with the topic what we have chosen, the evolving role of CIO from tech keeper to the business leader? We can take 1 minute each. I must assure that the topic I have chosen is right. 1 minute, not more than 1 minute.
Maybe I can start. It's a perfect topic. I think many of us are going to be facing this through our careers, and we can see this happening in our enterprise. We can see it happening with our peers. We can see it happening from the business side as well. And this is just cutting across the whole industry. And there's a lot of things to be, that we need to take cognizance of. And we also need to take steps to make sure that we are ready for what's coming up towards us. And we can't really escape it, but we need to be ready for it.
Thank you. So Dwivedi.
Absolutely, cannot agree more. CIOs now shifting from the supply side to demand side. Yeah. And when a person who was responsible for supply is entrusted with responsibility of demanding, there can be nobody better than him.
Thank you. Dr. Mahi.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, because it is, I'm working in an organization, it is not a profitable organization, but the business, what it is, that we need a quality of services, and it is required that CIO has to play a major role to take boards to the final decisions. Yeah.
Let's hear from the global CIO, Bharat.
Thanks, Deepak. Thanks for having us over here. So really appreciate that. Thank you. I think there is no disagreement on this anyways. So no point in saying we agree, because we all, I would put it like this way, probably the chief information officer is no more a chief information officer, it's chief involvement officer, it's chief influencing officer, maybe chief invoicing officer at times, because the money has to come in about it and all that.
So
right?
there will be
Just
next question also job. Ready, I'm asking.
I'm sure you have the questions ready. So, Chief Integration Officer, because these days everything is connected. Somebody earlier was just talking about we are going to have almost 30 billion devices connected by 2029. I feel it's 29 is too far. 26 is what we should be targeting and talking about that. So probably these are the acronyms if we try to use about, but bottom line it says is the convergence happened at CIO desk. So that's the rule.
You are right, absolutely.
First of all, thanks for having me here. I heard the earlier morning sessions, which are pretty, insightful. And to your question, see, I agree, like, I'm sure everybody would agree that role is very intertwined between, now you are as good as a business owner, you are not only traditionally what you have seen like a support department. I think there's a mind shift where only from saying, give me the requirements, user requirements, you have to now look at the problem statement and work on those requirements proactively. So yes, today we are saying everything is digital, and if you move from paper to digital, of course, CIS role becomes very instrumental. But they're as much as a decision maker as just an implementer, is what I would say.
True. How about Mahi?
Thank you for having us, and I don't think, like everybody said, there's no disagreement to this.
Can you take the mic a little?
Yeah, sure. So I don't think there's any disagreement to this. The role is shifting, and CIOs are no more just the tech stewards. They are moving to the business leader domain, because with the advent of a lot of privacy regulations and a lot of awareness about the cybersecurity domain itself, that shift is bound to happen, and that shift is necessary for the continuity of the business, for the prolongment of the entire operations. I think that shift is very necessary.
So I'll pick up from the Bharat's, it's a good involvement officer, investment officer, information officer, to do what? Impersonate things. So I don't call the chief information officer. So on this basis, we'll start with the questions, and we have given the questions to all the panelists. On basis of that, I will start the first question with JP Dwivedi. How is the role of CEO evolving from primary managing technology to taking on strategic business leadership responsibilities? So Dwivedi.
So as I said already, it is actually a shift from the demand side from the supply side to the demand side. And you see this happens in 3 phases. In phase 1, the business envisions the strategy, it runs the operations, and it asks CIO and his team to comply with the demands. So that is the stage 1. In stage 2, now there is more awareness about what technology can do in enabling so many new business horizons, working on new different segments. CIO becomes part of the strategy making, decision making, and his team is very much involved. And then finally in stage 3, CIO comes to center stage and drives the innovation, drives the business, and drives the strategy. And how this happens, CIO evolves in 5 different stages. When CIO comes to a business that is not very technology savvy, very first, the CIO is seen as adversary. I'll be very blunt.
Yes, you're right.
Then comes to a stage, CIO proves himself or herself right in a few occasions, but still people are not very confident. So the second stage comes, CIO becomes point of suspicion. Something must be wrong, there is some gap somewhere, not trusted still. Then a stage comes when CIO becomes a point of confrontation, because now CIO is asserting and he has or she has built certain credentials there. Now that stage also crosses, and then 4th stage CIO comes to a position of a problem solver.
Yes.
Now the board and CEO trust him that this person somehow, we don't know how he does it or how she does it, but the problem will be solved. Let us involve this person. So becomes the problem solver. And after spending some time at this stage and building more trust, final stage comes when CIO becomes a trusted advisor. And that is the ultimate stage. Board will hand over the keys to CIO and he will be entrusted to run the show.
Thank you. Prince, you want to add what Mr. Dwivedi said?
I think he just took us up a ladder. So there's 2 ladders here. One is on the business side, how their mindset is changing. One is on the technology side, how the CIO needs to evolve and reach the top of the ladder themselves. So there's also the scenario where sometimes the CIO exits at some part of the ladder and a new CIO comes in and the expectation is different. And it happens at many stages. But the business doesn't stop at the level of the CIO. The business is already far ahead. So the expectation from the business now is anybody entering and taking on the role, the expectation is that you are now able to speak to the business in business terms. You know the business and the functions better than the functions themselves, and you are able to influence and you are able to drive a lot of these strategies. Means you're the only person who is going to be really growing in this organization is going to be the guy who's doing digital, whereas the others are just managing their functions. Now the risk then is some of the people managing the functions now become more digital. Maybe not so much on technology. So there's going to be a crossover onto this side as well. Now, what I notice is this is a great opportunity and the place where the boys and the men are going to be separated is how you are going to be able to deal with this sort of a scenario, this sort of an expectation. And if you're not able to reach and match at that top level, then we have a problem. So the competency, the skill sets, some of the basics that needs to be done in terms of leadership, it's all coming to the forefront, and it's going to be very important as equal as your technical competence.
Great. So I have a question for Bharat. How are CIOs in India ensuring the technology initiatives are closely aligned with overarching business goals? What are the best practices have you implemented to ensure this alignment?
I think it's, Deepak, it's a loaded question. But I like to deconstruct it in a very simple manner, putting it out, thinking, what prism should we look at? A technology to business or business to technology? Most of the CIOs have evolved, I would say, or most of the organizations have evolved who have started looking the business view first and then putting how the technology can enable that part, right? Otherwise, it will be more like putting a cart before the horse, kind of. Effectively, same thing, what we have done internally over here at our end also too. We have drawn what is my business roadmap and looking at it, how the mix of traditional and emerging. And let me tell you this, it's just not the emerging technologies alone which can help, because you still have the old ERPs, you have the CRMs and all that which have to work. It is that these have to work in conjunction with each other. So probably it's a mixed breed of both that have to be looked into, and we are working towards that. Probably, if I put it this way, the user experience has taken a center stage. More so with everybody carrying a technology in their hand these days, everybody is experiencing. And if you go with an internal IT or a business IT part of it, and people know what the technology can do for them. Effectively, the user experience being the center stage has resulted in a lot of changes vis-a-vis to what we need to do. I mean, I remember we were talking about and doing or demarcating which way to run it when we wanted to run a one ECL experience about. As part of that one ECL, what we did, I mean, we cannot boil the whole ocean at one day itself or overnight and then bring the entire business to a standstill. So what we did was we demarcated or differentiated, saying what is something which interacts with my business, which is end consumer, and what is there which is internal. So let's work and prioritize for my user experience first, and then take it what has to be done internally, which is a combination of technologies, as I said, where Gen AI, some people call AI as an artificial, I still call it as augmented intelligence. That's a deep perception. We are still to go about that one. But then whole idea was that at the end of the day, it should result in having not only the external world which we are interacting with, but my internal organization should be data driven. And that is something which we tried to put it together. We succeeded quite a bit. I can't share the KPIs right now over here at this stage, but definitely it made a North Star movement. Yeah.
Great, great. So Pradeep, we want to hear from you on this. It is on.
Yeah. So I would say in terms of CI today already is a strategic member. CI today is, in organization, you know, everything now with moving towards digital transformation to make businesses more efficient and to cut costs also. So every department, be it marketing, sales, HR, customer service, they all need things to be digitized to give better user experience as well as to be cost effective. Of course, fraud is another angle in which data, AI, ML, etc. techniques are used to run fraud analytics better. I would believe with latest like DPI, the digital public infrastructure. In fact, anything digitally is in a way more foolproof than offline. For example, your Aadhaar, your PAN, you get them verified from original source, which is through UIDAI or NSDL, etc., which is better than relying on a photocopy given, in a branch by a customer. Now, of course, when businesses come and CEOs make this new journey, we also have to ensure that it's robust and foolproof. And that's where, the challenges and complexities come into way. Because you need to make a scalable solution. I think that's the other thing. Strategically, making a quick fix is easy, but doing a scalable work which fulfills the job of the other departments. And like one of my fellow panelists told, initially there is, of course, circumspect people are there, and slowly then CIS, once they demonstrate their effectiveness and the value they provide, then, people come with, then they don't come with requirements, they come with problem statements. Then you are more seen as collaborator and a partner. But I would say if I am on the other side like a business, I need transformation to help me to, onboard customers, for example, seamlessly and digitally.
Okay.
So I would say CIS already today are at the, of course, it's challenge for all CIS to keep them up to the pace, right? And deliver on the huge expectations. Like I said, like today's conference, there are new things every day. You have to keep learn and unlearn. But yeah, I would say they're as strategic as they can get.
Okay. So I have a question for Dr. Mahi. What pivotal role do CIOs play in steering the digital transformation efforts within their organization. How do you measure the success of your digital transformation initiatives?
Yeah. Uh, as I am a healthcare organization, the major objective of this digital transformation means what is the accurate and quality of services we will give to the patients, as well as the researchers do the research. And in these cases, we have to need a data. A lot of data is required. Quality of data is required. All the data supposed to be properly standardized so that you can use our technology to analyze all these things. The factor is that how to save the doctor's time when you put the technology. And that's why AI play major roles. Just one example I am giving you. Our whole labs is automated. It is pre-analytic, analytic, and post-analytic is totally automated. And the very least manual intervention is there. The reporting it has reduced to more than 9 hours. Earlier it was the semi-automated, it was only it was taking around 10 hours and all these things. So the resources we have put in the technology to use the resources more efficiently and give the quality of care and increase the services. So this is the one example what I am giving you. The labs are there. The reportings for the radiology also it is like that. You are using the AI tools for the reportings, and the doctors taking less time to make the reports to make the reports finalized. So these are the basic examples which is in our healthcare. We are using the technology and make the system more efficient. Thank you.
Yeah. So the same question I would like to ask to Mahi Gupta.
So I think the first thing that we need to address is the fact that, since we are moving into a digital world, there data and information are the most important assets. They're the, primary assets. And today, with the capability of AI and ML, it is, just imagine having like a crystal ball which gives you predictive market analysis. It gives you, every sort of consumer behavior analytics. And this is what AI and ML can offer today to CIOs, right? But this also means that, there is that much of strategic planning involved. You need to start putting, data governance and data strategy at the head and the pin of everything. And, the most important thing of this is that, the resource allocation and the sustainability and the scalability, like it was already mentioned, right? That also has to be, looked at from a perspective that, solutions should not be a quick fix. They cannot be a quick fix. They should be something which are going to offer like a long-term solution. So in that perspective, there are a lot of strategies that, we as, standing at the head of the privacy strategy could adopt. So one example that, we at Data Safeguard do is we embed privacy by design framework. So that is, something that privacy is inbuilt in our features in such a way, it is baked in the features of a product in such a way that, it's there at the outset. It's not an afterthought, it's not an aftermath that we do that, oh, something went wrong and now we want to fix it up. It's not something that works, and it is not something which is, wholesome in nature in the longer run for the organization itself. So yes, there is that. And of course, with cloud native technologies coming in and cloud, computing coming in, sorry. That is also something, it is, changing the way we are deploying and also developing the products themselves. And, because we are a privacy management company, I think the most important thing that we need to think of is, are we educating our own people? Because everything starts from that education. You cannot go very far in the, run if you're not, riding the correct horse, I would say. That's how I would put it. So it's very important that each one of us in the organization, and I can tell you, from my experience itself, that, if you give that ownership and you give that stakeholder, belief to people, to individuals, to employees in the organization. They understand the benefits and they understand what are the, ROIs of that particular thing. And they start respecting user privacy. They start respecting, how is it that we need to find a solution to make it more scalable, to make it more efficient in nature. So I think the real deal here is to look at privacy not as, I would say a hindrance, but as an enabler. So, yeah.
Yeah, you are right. So I have a question to Bharat. In what ways are emerging technologies reshaping the strategic priorities and decision-making process for CIOs? On this background, which emerging technologies do you believe will have the most significant impact on your industry in the next 3 to 5 years?
So before I come to the question which you asked, Deepak, maybe to add to the previous one on the digital part of it, I think one of the aspects which is very important, and I remember we went through that journey in our organization with almost 44 entities globally, about 37,000 people. And one of the aspects in digital is that you have to have a brainstorming done to measure the success of that digital initiative. And what will be that KPI? Not KPIs, KPI on which you will say that you have achieved the digital, which is the end goal. Most of the time it is just like, and I'm not sure how many of over here are aware, but in the railways there is a famous saying, one degree bend can lead you from Bangalore to Delhi, instead of that go to Allahabad, right? So probably that is where the digital has to have that KPI to be taken care of and talk through and brainstorm about it. And I remember we doing that, and we were digitalizing our order to cash, procure to pay, hire to retire, acquire to retire processes. And we sat down, each one had convergence as well as divergence covering all the large processes and underlying functions about it. Then finally we came out and said, what it matters is to the organization is the money. That means if my invoices go out on time, I'll be able to get my monies realized in time, and hence my cash flow will improve about it. So that's what we put it and said one-click invoicing. So we coined the word for that project called Prism as one-click invoicing. And from there onwards, it became a case study in Oracle and other part of the world about it. So coming back to now the question which you was talking about, the emerging technologies, I think if we look at, we all are aware of it. I don't need to talk what it will be, what it not, because all the learned panelists which are there here with me and the audience over here know what are coming. In fact, some time back I was talking to somebody and I said, I don't know whom I was talking as part of this conference. I said, 3 years, 5 years back, cloud was an emerging technology. Gartner used to jump all over the place and talk about it. Okay, this is emerging, this is coming, or mobility was one, right? But now it has gone beyond the curve, learning curve about it. We are talking about Gen AI, which is already there. It has started creating ripples. A lot of content writers are finding it hard to use between what. So your level 1 content can be written by it and then can be curated further. So that will be the change about it. I think I'll call it as talking vehicles is a better name than connected vehicles, right?
Correct,
because
correct.
they are talking vehicles now, right? My car talks to me a lot more than my wife talks to me, So it's just like that. So effectively, that's going to change quite a bit about it. It's going to result in, and probably the Cisco guy was very apt on saying about it, saying everything is going to talk.
Yes.
And when everything is going to talk, you have to measure, you have to see what you have to give as a response. You just can't say, Alexa, do this, and bam, gone for that. So that is another part which will be. Maybe in our lifetime, as part of our careers, I think when I say lifetime means the career lifetime about it, we will see the augmented changing to artificial, right? With all the GPUs and everything coming in. And that is playing a lot of engaging role. One technology which is taken the banks, the fintech, in our case, with Storm is the blockchain. the fintechs are, and we have adopted it big time for our circulation within the tokens, because zero trust networks, right? That's what we say, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's what it is.
Yes.
So probably these are the aspects, the finer
Yes,
technologies, which are, there are endless use cases.
I know.
And I don't want to take everybody's time, but we
Yes.
can talk offline
Yes,
around that.
yes.
Yeah. Mhm.
So now we'll hear from Pradeep, because he's a Chief Digital Officer. He manages the Life Insurance Corporation of India, which is the lifeline of our country. Let's hear from Pradeep. It's the largest organization. Yeah?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm leading the digital transformation at LIC. So we have 20 crore customers, 30 crore policies, right?
Yes.
So it is as bad as it didn't get. So
Still,
maybe after
I would say
ST.
still it is growing.
Yeah, it is. And so we are actually undergoing as we speak all this transformation, both from, so I'll break in two parts on technologies and emerging. See, one is in terms of customer experience, sales experience, where you have front-end, users and back-end experience which you create. I think, see, we have got great technologies. It's an ever-evolving thing, right? So I don't think that is still well set, like I said, creating a platform which microservices enabled, which will deliver all these experiences to customers, etc. That is pretty set. If you ask me, the bigger, of course, it's a challenge for large-scale organization, because we have legacy systems. How do you make changes? There are, without getting into technical, there are legacy systems where there are X number of table columns. There are new system. How do you ensure data transports from one system to another? What I would say is an area where as a country, I think we have to work more, and maybe globally also, it's in terms of data and analytics, right? How does it benefit to me as an end customer, whatever you have data about me, in a manner which aids me? Today with this AI and ML and a lot of analytics and Gen AI, etc., it is work in progress. This is one field where, as organizations, we have to give value add to customer, rather than, if I have to sell another insurance policy, am I really customizing it according to your need? It should not be, you have two products, here is the third product. Now, the more narrow and sharp we make it, which will be driven on back of data and analytics, etc., customers will see value in them. Like in one of my earlier organizations, which are a bank, we used data analytics in a way to identify good customers versus suspect. And to good customers, we let them open an account with like zero funding. To bad, we ask them to have a minimum funding of 10,000 or whatever. So how do we leverage? And this is again very emerging. See, there are a lot of jargons, a lot of people say a lot of things. Ultimate litmus test is, are you running it in a way which is generating revenues for the organization? And what is the percentage of Delta's business revenue that has contributed, right? That's when organizations see an impact, and honestly, that's when you get more support also to spend on this.
Wonderful. So I have a last question it is for all. Let's see how our panelists are responding in one sentence. What skills and competences will be essential for the future CIOs to succeed as the business leader? I'll start with Prince.
The future CIO, I have a different view on that, because I don't think future is going to be for CIOs. The CIO role is going to be drastically different in the future, is what I feel. But the biggest skill is right now, if you're not able to sense what is the true pain point of the business that you support, if you're not able to tell what actually is the levers that the business needs. Somebody talked about the business levers earlier, I think it was you. Unless you are very much in touch with those levers and the people who move those levers and how you can impact those levers, you really can't make a difference and impact in the business. So that is the most important skill to have, where you're able to have that business acumen, business sense, and you're very close to the customer. I think one of the things that proves it is, in the customer meetings, are you there? If you're there in those customer meetings, then you're able to get into those vibes, you are sensitized to those important things, and that's the most important thing.
Good.
Is what I
Mr.
feel.
Dwivedi.
So in my view, CIO has to be quick learner. Things are changing very fast. CIO has to be analytical, needs to focus where it is important. CIO has to be articulate. CIO has to be little political also.
Yes.
He needs to deal with a lot of nuances. And finally, I'll borrow a couple of couplets from Dr. Bachchan's poem. आँख में हो स्वर्ग लेकिन पाँव पृथ्वी पर टिके हों, कंटकों की इस अनोखी सीख का सम्मान कर ले, पूर्व चलने के बटोही बाट की पहचान कर ले.
Good.
So you should be able to handle on the ground.
Okay, let's see what Dr. Meher will add.
Yeah, earlier CIOs are the second citizen of the organizations. Today they are part of the roadmap of their business. So definitely I'm looking towards that any decision making of the major decision making of the organization is going on for the development of their business. CIO's decision is the most important, that's why they will be part of that. But what I'm looking towards is, definitely in futures, the organization looking towards that the CIO be a level of CEO. That is I'm looking towards it, yeah. Thank you.
Let's Bharat.
You know, the industry and the world is had been stagnant, sorry for no offense to the CFOs and CHROs, but not much has changed for them in last 40 years, barring few of the, you know, regulations and all that kind of. But for CIOs, every 6 months is a new world. Every technology, every threat that emanates, it results in some work for them to do about it. In fact, me and Niranjan, he's sitting here, we were talking earlier about it, that the whirlpool never stops.
True.
And that's the beauty of a CIO, because it's always there. He's always on tenterhooks. But I think when you ask me what, I don't know, should I make it a generic statement for CIOs or should it be for me? But probably we have to transform from being a tech leaders to business leaders. We have to stop measuring, and that's why when I said can't put cart before the horse about it, it has to be the business, it has to be the business growth, it has to be the revenue, and then how and what technology will help enable it. Probably some of them would be already running it in your stable rather than going out and looking at it. Because some parts of it, like we still see with all automation, the patch was still missed to be applied. And that happens all the time. And that one shit patch created 35 crore data getting lost, right? So that's important and beauty of being a CIO.
Yes. Yeah. Let's hear from Pradeep.
So I would say, you know, for a CIO, being humble for me is the most important thing, because, you know, technology keeps changing. You have to keep on unlearning what you learned. Today, maybe a 3-year-old kid will know more about me on certain new technology. So if I don't have an open mind, I don't learn from him or her, then, you know, I will always be caught in my own world and I will never innovate or move forward, because what CIS do is followed by their 1 downs, 2 downs. So it's the culture building, which is the responsibility of the CIO, especially in an area and technology which is ever changing. So willing to unlearn what you have kept learning, open to new ideas, and of course having a, you know, a little bit of business and P&L perspective helps.
Great. Mahi?
I think enough is already said about, you know, how and what is the essential criteria or qualifications for a CIO. I just say that, you know, the most important thing is to have the ability to unlearn certain things that you've learned very deep down in your own, you know, head, and you've been following it or practicing it for a very long time. Because, you know, technology is not something which is going to remain constant in a single space. It is ever evolving. It is going to dynamically keep shifting itself. And with every emerging technology, there is going to come a problem or there is going to come an opportunity. So
Great.
You need to have that, you know, mindset, or you need to have that ability to be adaptive in nature. You need to be very quick and fast and up about it. That's how I see it.
So if I'll summarize the quote from Bharat: information, investment, involvement. You know what is resulted? 4.5% of CIOs has been appointed either as the CEO of the organization or they started their own startup. So CIO could be the prospect of the CEO. On this background, I love to thank all the panelists for the wonderful input.